Alright, people, so I'm here with my second day of investigation into the 9/11 events. And today we are going to talk about Operation Northwoods. It was a declassified military operation, or it didn't actually happen, but it was a proposed operation that basically was, to stage false flags. I got it right here. This is Operation Northwoods. It's a 12-page document, 15 or something like that. 12 or 15-page document. You can get it offline. Just search Operation Northwoods. I get it on like George Washington Education website or GW something .edu. You can find it. I found it pretty easily. If you type in Operation Northwoods, you also get this article from ABC News. I'm going to put Operation Northwoods down for a second. But you get this one from ABC News titled, if you could read it there, U.S. military, let me read it, U.S. military wanted to provoke war with Cuba. Now let me begin reading here. ABC News, by the way, as you can see in the corner right there. ABC News just admits, and everybody should be admitting this, by the way. I mean, the documents right here. It's right in the document. The U.S. wanted, I'm just going to put it right over here so I don't have to bend down. The U.S. wanted to stage false flag terror events to get us into a war with Cuba. Sounds familiar, huh? Yeah, like I'll go into other ones in later videos. Like I'm going to make more. But I wanted to talk about this one because it's just so huge. They admit they planned to stage terror attacks to get us into a war with Cuba, and it got all the way up to President Kennedy, who said, "No, we're not going to do this." I mean, they're admitting that they think about this shit, and then they try. If it was Obama in there, you damn right bet that it probably would have gone through and happened. But thankfully, JFK turned it down. So let's just start reading here. If you want to follow along. It's just search Operation Northwoods. This should be mainline this should be taught in every American history class. Operation Northwoods. But you don't even fucking hear about it. Whether you go to a private school, a public school, you don't hear shit about fucking Operation Northwoods. But yeah, they'll keep teaching you about how great, all these presidents are and shit. They won't teach you about anything else, just how great America is. Yeah, America, yeah. Teach you false patriotism, Gulf of Tonkin happened. They still teach me that. They teach me that Gulf of Tonkin actually happened. What bullshit that is. But anyway, let's start reading this article here, which should be taught. Operation Northwoods, again, should be taught in every fucking history class throughout the fucking world. But yeah, let's start reading here from the top. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's 3 pages long here, so you could read it for yourself. This is the article, by the way, not the actual operation. So let's get started here. First paragraph, here we go. In the early 1960s, America's top military leaders reportedly drafted plans to kill innocent people and commit acts of terrorism in U.S. cities to create public support for a war against Cuba. So there you go. It admits, that they plan to kill innocent people, commit acts of terrorism, and blame it on Cuba pretty much, or to create support for a war with Cuba. Codenamed Operation Northwoods, the plans reportedly included the possible assassination of Cuban, and I don't know how to fucking pronounce this word. It's got some crazy ass letters in here. Cuban Acmigras or something, I don't know. The possible assassination of Cuban Acmigras, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas. Keyword, hijacking planes, blowing up a U.S. ship, and even orchestrating violent terrorism in U.S. cities. So they admit that they planned on hijacking an airplane to make and stage it to provoke a war with Cuba. Sounds familiar. Maybe 9/11. hijacking an airplane, running him into buildings, and staging him on Al-Qaeda to get us into a war. You know, that's been done. They planned this before, huh? Yeah. The plans were developed as ways to trick the American public. Trick the American public and the international community into supporting a war to oust Cuba's then new leader, communist Fidel Castro. America's top military brass even contemplated causing U.S. military casualties, writing we could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay and blame Cuba, and casualty lists in the U.S. newspapers would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. Details of the plans are described in Body of Secrets, a new book by investigative reporter James Bamford about the history of America's largest spy agency, the NSA. However, the plans were not connected to the agency, he notes. So, basically, and I got one more paragraph here to read. The plans had the written approval of all the Joint Chiefs of Staff and were presented to President Kennedy's Defense Secretary Robert McNamara in March 1962. But they apparently were rejected by the civilian leadership and have gone undisclosed for nearly 40 years. So there you go, people. Planning on fucking hijacking planes, military, killing people who fight and put their asses on the line for us. They wanted to fucking kill them. So let's go now to Operation Northwoods. I read the whole thing. It's pretty interesting. I understand that some people, might not have the time to take 10 minutes out of their day and read Operation Northwoods. I mean, it looks so long, isn't that just so long, people? But yeah, just take 10 or 15 minutes to read it. Very interesting, and it's an important piece of American history. So let's start. I'm going to start off here on, I think it's actually a 15-page document. Or, if you print it off, it's 15 pages, but they consider it 12. So, like the first few pages, it's not, it's like the outer part of it, but when the last few, or the last half, that's really the meat of Operation Northwoods. So let me start here. I'm going to start on page 7, number 2, page 7, number 2. So here we go. A series of well-coordinated incidents will be planned to take place in and around Guantanamo to give genuine appearance of being done by hostile Cuban forces. Incidents to establish a credible attack. Start rumors. So yeah, they're just starting fucking rumors, you just fucking throw them out there, start rumors. Number 2, land friendly Cubans in uniform over the fence to stage attack on base. Number 3, capture Cuban saboteurs inside the base. Start riots near the base main gate. Blow up ammunition inside the base. Start fires. Burn aircraft on the base. In parentheses, sabotage. Lob mortar shells from outside of base into base. Some damage to installations. 8. Capture assault teams approaching from the sea or vicinity of Guantanamo City. 9. Capture militia groups which storm the base. 10. Sabotage ship and harbor. Large fires. Napalm. I don't even know what the fuck that word is. 11. Sink ship near harbor entrance. Conduct funerals for mock victims. B. The United States would respond by executing offensive operations to secure water and power supplies, destroying artillery and mortar emplacements which threaten the base. Commence large-scale United States military operations. There you go, fucking stage shit and just stage shit and then go into their militarily. 3. Remember the main incident could be arranged in several forms. I have been talking about that, where the main blew up and they just started blaming the Spanish to provoke a war with Spain all the way back in 1898. I have said that a lot of times on this channel. Let me read that again. Remember the main incident could be arranged in several forms. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo and blame Cuba. Yeah, just blow up a ship and blame somebody else. No big deal. I mean, they're just talking about this like normal language, so this leads me to believe that they've done more shit like this. B, we could blow up a drone, unmanned, in parentheses, vessel anywhere in the Cuban waters. I'm not gonna go into this because it's a long little description here, blowing up the drone. But yeah, it's basically say we could blow up the drone. Let me go to number 4. We could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area and other Florida cities, and even in Washington. The terror campaign could be pointed at Cuban refugees seeking haven in the United States. I'm gonna jump to. Let me jump to. I know it says hijack somewhere. Here we go. I'm gonna jump to number 7 here on page 10. Hijacking attempts against civil air and surface craft should appear to continue as harassing measures condoned by the government of Cuba. Concurrently, genuine defections of Cuban civil and military air and surface craft should be encouraged. So there you go, people. 8. It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civil airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, or Venezuela. The destination would be chosen only to cause the flight plan route to cross Cuba. The passengers could be a group of college students off on a holiday, or any grouping of persons with a common interest to support chartering a non-scheduled flight. So, I mean, there you go, people. I mean, they're admitting. Let's not just stage stuff, let's do stuff and blame it on Cuba. I mean, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I mean, there's a lot of interesting shit in here. I mean, it talks about a lot of airplanes and hijackings in here. I mean, I know there's a hijacking one in here. I just don't know where to fucking find it, because there's just so much interesting shit in here. I mean, you just go on and on and on. And, I mean, it's just about staging stuff, lying to provoke a war with Cuba. And yeah, I mean, the ABC News article, they say, hijacking planes. The planes reportedly included the possibly hijacking planes and staging them on Cuba, or making it look like Cuba did it to provoke a war with Cuba. So 2 interesting little articles right there to look up, and just some background information. I mean, I'm not even talking about 9/11 yet. This has nothing to really do with 9/11 directly. But that proved that we staged terror attacks, and or at least planned to stage terror attacks. Actually, we did with the Gulf of Tonkin. It's come out now. It never really happened, but again, I'll make a video about that later. But yeah, Operation Northwoods, we planned to do stuff and stage it on Cuba. No big deal. That shouldn't ring a bell or anything. Mainstream news hasn't even really covered it at all, except the ABC News article. Yeah, just normal. We shouldn't even cover that at all in our history classes, on the news. No big deal. And ironically, this article came out, not saying it has any correlation, or, probably doesn't have any correlation to 9/11, but it came out May 1st, 2001. Right there, May 1st, 2001. Just saying, I found that sort of interesting. Not saying it has any correlation to 9/11, but yeah, but look up those Operation Northwoods. It's fucking mind-boggling, though, like, when you see that, especially if you're, like, somebody who's not politically awake or active, and you see that, your mind will probably be blown by that, so look that up, people. It's an interesting little thing. And so there you go, people. There's investigation number 2.